Rebonjour à tous, rebonjour à toutes. On a la chance d'avoir un invité de marque avec nous. Je commence en français, puis on va passer en anglais assez rapidement, mais juste quelques mots en français. Et je pense qu'ensuite, pour ceux d'entre vous qui ne seraient pas parfaitement accoutumés à la langue de Shakespeare, vous pouvez prendre des casques pour la conversation en anglais, conversation qui sera traduite en anglais. On continue sur notre thématique de la disruption, de l'inspiration, et on va le faire en anglais avec Frederico Falcāo, qui est président de Wines of Portugal. Donc, in English, we're very proud to have you on stage. You're the president of Wine of Portugal. You'll tell us more about Wines of Portugal and about you in a few minutes. But I just wanted to make maybe an introduction on how and why was it important for us to have Frederico today with us. We think that the French wine industry may be facing like hard times today. And maybe not only the French wine, but maybe the overall wine industry. And we think that it's important to have inspiration from outside and especially for the French industry, to have maybe example to go and see what works and what is done well by other countries, by other wine regions. And also we've seen this morning maybe by other industries. We had the coffee industry, the beer industry, and people from CPG industries. So that's all about inspiration. So Frederico, you'll tell us a bit more about you, but we've noticed that there are a lot of Portuguese winemakers on the fair this year. There are, I think, 228 228 producers. So it's a massive presence today. So maybe can you tell us more about Wines of Portugal, about you also? And I've got a few questions for you as well.
Ok, bonjour. Malheureusement, je ne parle pas français, donc je vais parler en anglais.
That's fine.
C'est tout ce que je sais.
Thank
you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. So, my name is Frederico Falcão, not Falsão. Falsão means fake, so I'm not fake, I'm real. So Falcão, which is a bird. Well, I was a winemaker for 18 years, so a winemaker for a long time. I worked in a lot of companies in a lot of wine regions in Portugal. I even went to Australia for the vintage time, yeah. And then I was the president of the Portuguese Wine Institute, Vine and Wine Institute, and that was also representative in OIV from Portugal in those times, and in European Commission. And then I went to another company, and now I'm the president of Wines of Portugal, ViniPortugal, for 5 years now. So if you start counting, you will guess that I started working with 5 years old.
You're so young.
So yeah, very young. So I started very early. So ViniPortugal, Wines of Portugal, it's an interprofessional organization. So that means it's the wine representative to the wine state. Whatever. We are private. We are interprofessional, private. My boss is the wine sector, all the wine sector.
How many winemakers total in Portugal?
Oh, I have no idea. Winemakers, I don't know.
No, estates or...
company, many. With like 12,000. Yeah. But with ViniPortugal, with us, there are like 1,200 working, okay? So everyone that is trying to export, and it's medium to big, even some small ones, they work with us. They come with us. So today we have 200, in this wine fair we have 228. We will be in Provine in just 1 month, and we'll have a big number also. So a lot of them, they come and travel with us. And so that's it. We are an interprofessional, we are private. We join everyone together to come to fairs and to some other things we organize. Well, let's talk about it.
Yes, great. So here we are on the WineTech stand, on the WineTech booth. WineTech is all about innovation and about the startups ecosystem and everything. How is it? How are you dealing with innovation and startups in Portugal, and how do you, as Wines of Portugal, deal with innovation?
Okay, innovation is the word of the future now. There are two words, innovation and sustainability. Two words that are very trendy right now. In Portugal, especially if you go north to the Douro Valley, it's a mountain viticulture. So nowadays in Portugal, and I think everywhere in the world, we have labor problems. We don't have enough people to work in the fields, to pick the grapes, to prune, whatever. So there's a lot of innovation being done with machines to try and compensate this lack of people, especially in the Douro Valley, especially in mountain hills. Also, we have a lot of wine producers adapting to the market. And I mean, wine in cans and wine in other ways of bottling. There's a lot of innovation when it comes to packaging, because you have to fulfill the needs of the markets. It's not for traditional markets like France or or even newcomers like China or Japan. But in US, for example, it's very trendy now, with wine in cans. So
It's interesting because it's like a controversial subject here in France. It's good to hear that it works.
Yeah, I was just discussing this in a previous meeting with a guy from Champagne, and I was talking about this, the wine in cans and so on. And he was saying, okay, that's fine, but not for Champagne, because we cannot put Champagne in a can. It will ruin the brand Champagne, which is very well, it's a strong brand connected. But for some entry-level wines, it's a way to do it. So a lot of innovation in vineyards, a lot of innovation also in wineries. AI applied in the wineries to try and to put the system more effective and less expensive, okay? And when it comes to branding and when it comes to packaging. So a lot of things has been done in Portugal in the last years.
Great. And we had yesterday on this stage a Portuguese startup or ecosystem that is capturing CO2. You know, that was very, very interesting. So a lot of innovation. And what about sustainability? We've seen on the screen there close to the bar that you've got this logo about sustainability. Sustainability will be the big topic of tomorrow's conferences, but we know that it's something that you're very strong on. Can you tell us more about the way you implement sustainability, but also you communicate about sustainability?
So regarding sustainability, we are not that strong. We will be that strong. We are not yet that strong. Portugal is quite a pioneer in many things. One of our main goals, or one of our main strengths, it's the diversity when it comes to grape varieties. We have a huge diversity in grape varieties. And we were pioneer to study, DNA study these grape varieties and to collect them all, okay? So we are quite the leaders in this field. But when it comes to sustainability, we were the last.
Okay.
So when we look to all the other countries,
room for progress.
Yeah, room for progress. When we look to all the other countries, every single country had a national sustainability system, and Portugal we didn't. So we had a regional one in Alentejo, but we needed to create a national one, which would be could be adapted to all the countries. Because if you go to the Azores Islands, the average size of the property is very small. 0.1, 0.2. And if you go to Alentejo, the average size of a property is like 100 hectares or something. So we need to build a system that could collect everyone and put everyone in. And now we are growing. It's just quite new. It's 2 years old. We have 39 producers already certified as being sustainable. And because sustainability, it's more than organic, because you have to be environmental, social, and economic sustainable. So it's more complex and more effective for the companies. Now we have 39 so far, and I would say from these 1,200 that go with ViniPortugal to promote the wines abroad, I would say that in 5 years' time, half of them or more, they will be sustainable, certified as sustainable.
Good. So it's a nice ambition and.
Yeah, we are ambitious. We will.
Yes. Talking about ambition, you've got a huge presence here in Wine Paris. Can you tell a bit more about, first, your export strategy? What do you want to implement as far as export is concerned? But also, maybe the way you're looking at the French market, because it's interesting to see. We know it can be difficult or challenging for non-French wine to get into the French market. So export strategy as a whole, and maybe your strategy for France.
So we were working in 22 markets. Portugal was promoting in 22 markets. And we now have a new strategic plan 2030. So for the next 5 years, okay? We reduced the markets to 15. So we want to use the same budget in less markets to build the category Portugal. So Portugal, it's a small country. When it comes to the world, it's 109 when it comes to size. So it's a very small country. But when it comes to wines, we are big. We are the 9th biggest. We are the biggest in Europe when it comes to diversity per square kilometer in grape varieties. And we export almost half nowadays. We export almost half.
That's big. That's huge.
What we produce, which is a lot. So now we are trying to focus in less countries with the same budget to promote wines of Portugal.
Yes.
To promote Portugal, to get Portugal to be known in the world. You know, 15, maybe 20 years ago, when I was making my wines and traveling, selling my wines, I even went to United States, and I mean, not inland, but I mean New York. And I was with my wines in a fair in an event for consumers, not trade, but consumers. And people approached and said, Portugal has wines. Where is Portugal? They have no idea where Portugal was. And they didn't know that Portugal was producing wines. And I said, okay, but we have port wine. And they said, yes, but port is not from Portugal. Portugal it's a style of wine.
Category.
And I said, no, port comes from Portugal. So now it's completely different. We go to United States, we go to Europe everywhere, we go to Japan, whatever, and people know about Portugal, and people know that Portuguese wines are good. So this is a lot of work from ViniPortugal, a lot of work from the wine producers. We are trying to promote one single brand, Portugal.
And I think that's very interesting because also in France, we're struggling with promoting the brand France. There is Bordeaux, we can see there, Loire-Vallée, Rhône-Vallée, Languedoc, Provence, and everything. We all come like not as a single brand. What do you think is the advantage for Portugal to communicate as a single country?
I think it's something connected to stages, because when we are not well known outside, it's more efficient if we communicate first Portugal, and when Portugal is well known as a wine producer, then you go the next level. You start communicating the wine regions. France is known for producing wines since ever, and we were most focusing inland into Portugal. Our producers 40 years ago, they were focusing on the Portuguese market, on the Angola market, on Brazil, and that's it. So when you need to go out and explore new markets, it's easier if you promote Portugal first. Then when it's known, like what's happening now in Brazil, and even here in France, the regions, they are now starting to promote themselves. It's a complementary way of promoting. So, but the first thing should be Portugal, then regions, and then in individual brands. 3 levels of promotion. Regarding France, France is still, I don't know if many of you know this, but France is our #1 market of exports.
For port wine, is it?
Because of port wine, yes. Especially because of port wine. Number 2, it's United States. Number 3, it's Brazil. Number 4, it's UK. But if we take ports out of the equation, then France drops to number 7. And because it's, apart from ports, it's mostly to the European, to the Portuguese community living here in France, and a lot of people here close to Paris, which are Portuguese, and they drink Portuguese wines. So France becomes very important with ports. It loses a lot of importance without ports. But although it's still important for Portuguese wines, and that's why we always try to be here in this wine fair, in Vinexpo in the old days, now in Wine Paris, because it's not, although these fairs are not just France, this is France and international. I would say that half, at least yesterday, half of the visitors were from outside of France, okay? Half.
So it's really becoming an international fair. And okay, I can see that we're arriving at the end of our time together. Maybe what would be your conclusion? Would be your hope maybe for Wines of Portugal, or how would you like to conclude?
My hope is that everyone in this room that has been listening to us would drink more Portuguese wines and help us to promote Portugal. And that's it.
Thank you, thank you. We can taste Portuguese wine here at the bar, and also, of course, on your stand.
And all four.
Frederico, thank you very much to spend your time here with us. A question, of course.
Yes.
We've got
Please.
5 minutes for questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here. I'm interested in the way that the wine consumptions with the temperatures increasing, and what we see a lot in Europe, in South Europe, Spain, Italy, is wine cocktails. Yeah. They have the spritz, from Italy, which is super famous now, is Prosecco. Spanish. In Spain, they have a lot of wine cocktails, so Tinto de Verano, sangria, of course. France, there's nothing. They don't mix wine with anything, which I think is a big mistake. I would like to understand your view on what's happening in Portugal. I know beer is increasing in Portugal, beer consumptions, because of the temperatures. You have a lot of red wines, white wines. How do you see wine cocktails, and what can be the Portuguese offer with this kind of temperatures increasing? Any cocktails, any white wines, any Vino Verde is coming back? What's your view?
So generally, the wine consumption in the world is dropping. So we've seen that it's dropping. It's dropping mostly because of China, because of the United States and Canada. So these three countries, they are dropping a lot in consumption, and that is affecting the world consumption in all the countries. So regarding styles and cocktails, what we have seen is that the consumption of whites and sparkling is increasing a lot. And now we see that in Portugal, a lot of producers are doing more white wines and more sparklings and less reds, because that's kind of a demand from the consumers also. And when it comes to cocktails, I think we must adapt to the markets. If the markets want cocktails, we have to sell cocktails. We cannot be frozen by conservative thoughts and stop selling because the market is not asking for that. So sangria, it's a name that is used in Spain and Portugal. It's very popular also in Portugal. A lot of people drink it. There's a lot of ready-to-drink drinks being done. Ports, for example. Port wine, it's very strong in Portugal. It's very important for the Portuguese economy, especially in the Douro Valley, of course. The consumers of port wine are dying because it's elder people. So they must find new ways to drink ports, to reach young consumers. What they did, ready to drink, cocktails, port with tonic water in cans. So they have to reach new consumers. We have to grab on the new consumers, young people, or even people that were not yet drinking wine. They must start drinking wine. And also, we must change our way to communicate. I was a winemaker for a long time, and whenever I explain my wines, I was telling, I was grabbing the glass like this, and smelling, a pineapple and whatever. This is confusing for people. People get scared with these kind of speeches. So we must communicate in a language that people can understand us and don't get afraid of it. Because when you go to a restaurant or a bar and they ask for a beer, it's a beer, or a spirit, it's a spirit. If we ask for a wine, oh, it smells like this and that, and the tannins and the harsh and sweet tannins. So we must change the way to communicate, we must change the way we sell wines, and we must adapt to the needs of the market.
And sparkling, any view on sparkling wines? Any?
You know, the sparkling wines, in my previous talk with a guy from Champagne, they are very conservative in the way they sell sparklings, champagne. But what we have seen in the world rising a lot, it's a sparkling from another country, not France. Yeah. Why? They are sweet, they are easy. So if the market wants bubbles with sweetness, let's give them bubbles with sweetness. That's it. And then there's a market for premium, high premium, super premium champagnes. There's always a market for that. But the gross markets, we have to adapt a bit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll go and see you on your Portuguese stands with all the producers. Thank you very much, Frederico.